of the School of Management Studies. Established in 1964 under the University of Kerala, SMS holds the proud distinction of being one of India's oldest business schools. In July 1971, with the creation of the University of Cochin, now Cochin University of Science and Technology, SMS found its new home at CUSAT. Over the past 5 decades, SMS has grown into a beacon of academic excellence. It is ranked among the top 100 institutions in the NIRF rankings, securing the 81st spot, trailing only IIM Kozhikode and NIT Calicut in Kerala. Beyond producing skilled professionals who have made their mark in management and business, SMS has nurtured leaders who serve the administration of India, some of whom are with us today. But let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. Every great journey begins with a single daunting step. That first step is often the hardest, filled with doubts, uncertainties, and fears. Yet, if you dare to take it against all odds, that's what sets you apart. That's what makes you great. With this in mind, it is my honor to welcome you all to this gathering. Today, we pay tribute to the man who took that bold first step and brought management education to Kerala. Let's celebrate the legacy of our founding director, the late Professor Emeritus Padma Bhushan, Dr. M.V. PYLEE. His vision lives on. His vision lives on, and our School of Management Studies stands as a shining testament to his enduring impact. We celebrate the Professor M.V. PYLEE Memorial Endowment Lecture to remember and honor the life and legacy of Dr. PYLEE. And I warmly invite you all to join us for this year's lecture, Musings of an Alumnus on Management Education, on April 3rd, 2025, at the Seminar Complex, CUSAT. Professor PYLEE, whose vision and leadership have left an indelible mark on management education in India. Born on October 5, 1919 in Pulinkunnu, Kerala, Dr. PYLEE's academic journey was both diverse and distinguished. He began his career as a faculty member at Lucknow University and later served as the director of the Administrative Staff College of India. In 1964, Dr. PYLEE took on the role of director at the School of Management Studies, where he dedicated 14 years to transforming the institution into a premier center for management education. He went on to serve as he was the Vice Chancellor of CUSAT from 1977 to 1981. Beyond his administrative roles, Dr. PYLEE was a prolific author, contributing extensively to literature on India's constitution and management practices. His notable works include India's Constitution, Constitutional Amendments in India, Introduction to the Constitution of India, International Joint Business Ventures, Professional Management in India, Problems and Prospectus, and the list goes on. In 2006, the Government of India honored Dr. PYLEE with the Padma Bhushan, a testament to his extraordinary contributions to education and management. His legacy endures not only through his writings and the institution he shaped, but also through the Professor M.V. PYLEE Award for the Distinguished Academician of India, the top award in India given for excellence in teaching and research and contribution to the academic community. As we reflect on the rich history of the School of Management Studies and Dr. M.V. PYLEE's enduring influence, let us reaffirm our collective commitment to uphold his legacy, a legacy rooted in academic rigor, institutional vision, and an unwavering pursuit of excellence. It is in this spirit that we warmly welcome you to this year's Professor M.V. PYLEE Memorial Endowment Lecture titled Musings of an Alumnus on Management Education, delivered by Dr. Sunil Kumar, a close associate of Dr. PYLEE and alumnus of our department of the very first MBA batch at SMS CUSAT. As we gather here to celebrate the legacy of Professor M.V. PYLEE, let us recommit ourselves to the values he championed, to keep learning, to keep growing, and to keep inspiring. It is now my privilege to introduce the distinguished dignitaries who will be joining us on the dais for today's event. First, let us extend a warm welcome to Professor Dr. M. Junaid Bushri, Vice Chancellor of Cochin University of Science and Technology, who will preside over today's proceedings. Sir, please honor us by taking your seat on the dais. We are delighted to welcome Dr. Sunil Kumar, former Chief Secretary of Chhattisgarh, who will deliver today's endowment lecture. Please take your seat on the dais, sir. Please join me in welcoming Mr. PYLEE Verghese Moolamattam, grandson of Professor M.V. PYLEE and Vice President, E-Commerce Operations and Network International, who will share heartfelt reminiscences of his grandfather. We now welcome Dr. Zakaria K.A., Director of the School of Management Studies, and invite him to formally commence today's event with a welcome address. Lastly, we are pleased to invite Dr. Smarty P. Mugundan, Associate Professor, School of Management Studies, and Faculty Coordinator of the Professor M.V. PYLEE Memorial Endowment Lecture to join us. Ladies and gentlemen, let's now begin today's solemn and celebratory occasion by invoking the divine. Ms. Adira, a student of the School of Management Studies, QSAT, will be leading the prayer. May I request everyone who can to please rise as we begin with a short prayer.
Snehageetam egiyum karma bhoomi taliridunna varnamegiyum nammil vaazhumadinamam innu vaazhtidam hridayaraga tantri meeti നമ്മൾ പാടുമീ സ്വരങ്ങൾ കീർത്തനങ്ങളാകണേ ചൂടു വയ്ക്കുമീ പദങ്ങൾ നൃത്തലോലമാകണേ കുഞ്ഞു വീടിൻ ഉൾക്കളങ്ങൾ സ്വർഗമാകണേ അമ്മ നൽകും ഉമ്മ പോലും അമൃതമാകണേ പൂർണമീ ചരാചരങ്ങൾ ഗുരുവരങ്ങൾ ആകണേ ഹൃദയരാഗ തന്ത്രി മീട്ടി.
Thank you all. To formally inaugurate the proceedings, I now invite Professor Dr. K.A. Zakaria, the Director of School of Management Studies, to deliver the welcome address. Sir, we welcome you on the stage.
Respected President of this function, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor M. Junaid Bushri, Chief Guest of the Day, Dr. Sunil Kumar IAS, Sri PYLEE Verghese, grandson of Professor M.V. PYLEE, Dr. Smarty Mugundan, Faculty Coordinator, former directors, alumni members, my faculty colleagues, both former colleagues and present colleagues, Dr. Manoj, Controller of Examinations, dear scholars and students, people from the press, a very good morning to you all. It is a very proud moment for everyone, any SMSCN, because this is about PYLEE sir. For every SMSCN, PYLEE sir is an emotion. he is a legacy of School of Management Studies. And we all know, for any institution, the early years are very critical because the foundations of a great journey is laid down during the early years. As far as SMS is concerned, the first 14 years, it had a captain who is a visionary, none other than our PYLEE sir. And for PYLEE sir also, SMS was an emotion. Because we all know PYLEE sir was the Vice Chancellor of QSAT. But those who personally know PYLEE sir all know that PYLEE sir always wanted to be recognized. First and foremost, not as the Vice Chancellor, former Vice Chancellor, but always he was so happy when somebody says he is the founder director of School of Management Studies. That was his affinity to the school. And I will also take a few moments to share a couple of my experience with PYLEE sir. PYLEE sir retired from Cochin University in 1981 as the Vice Chancellor. At that time, I was just 10 years. So you can imagine the kind of age gap between myself and PYLEE sir. I joined in this university in 2000, but I was able to maintain a very close and warm relationship with PYLEE sir. Because especially from 2003 onwards, many times I was fortunate to be part and parcel of PYLEE Award Committee for the distinguished academician of the country. So in that way, I got opportunity to connect with PYLEE sir, and we maintained it till his death. So one experience which I want to share is, in 2006, I was contesting to the General Council of Kerala Agricultural University from the Senate of Cochin University. Voters were only Senate members, and PYLEE sir was one voter. But PYLEE sir's name was not there in the list because he was a member in the Senate by virtue of an official designation, that is Chairman of State Advisory Board on Education. So that will be there, Chairman, State Advisory Board. So somehow I could understand that is PYLEE sir. So I went to PYLEE sir to meet. So after the initial discussions, I said, sir, I want a favor from you. Sir asked, what? You all know how PYLEE sir used to speak. He will speak slowly, 2 words, 3 words, right. Then I said the matter, sir, I need your vote. For a moment, he did not speak anything. Then a very broad smile came out. And he said, listen, you know, that man called me when I was in UK. You know how PYLEE sir speaks. I cannot reproduce everything because some words are private talks. He was referring to a former MLA who was contesting to the Senate election in Kerala University who rang up to PYLEE sir when he was in UK. And somehow he did not like the way he approached. I did not care. I did not go. I did not vote. How dare he was. Then I got feared. Is he asking me, how dare you are to come and ask me to come to university administration and vote for you? But after a silence, he said, but I will come and I will vote for you. You should win. And PYLEE sir came to administrative block on the day of election. Nobody expected that, including my opposition candidate who was a state level leader. And he was looking for an easy position in agricultural university. And he said, I never knew sir will come, otherwise I would have come to your house. Right. PYLEE sir came, voted, and I won the election. That was one of the very moment that I keep in my mind. That was a true reflection from the side of PYLEE sir to show his warmth, his care and support to me and School of Management Studies. Another incident which is very much connected to this occasion also, this PYLEE Endowment lecture. One day PYLEE sir wrote a letter to the university. You know, PYLEE sir instituted an award which is called PYLEE Award for the Distinguished Academician in the country. This is one of the largest award in the country instituted for recognizing academicians in the country. And this is instituted by depositing 10 lakh rupees by PYLEE sir. It's his hard-earned money, right? And his letter was like this, because that year's MV PYLEE award, the way it was conducted, PYLEE sir did not like. So PYLEE sir wrote to the university, I am not happy with the way you conduct MV PYLEE award, so you stop giving it. I don't want to continue that anymore. You take the money out, you go create some facility in School of Management Studies auditorium, you create a couple of restrooms there. You see a distinguished award, largest in nature in the country. We are stopping and going for. PYLEE sir was communicating two things. One, his displeasure, the way we were conducting the award. Second, even after 50 years of existence, university did not take care for renovating SMS auditorium, did not provide even the basic amenities, so he was inviting the attention of the university authorities. This came to the university syndicate. People who were sitting in the syndicate were not much aware about PYLEE sir's emotion toward university, towards this award, towards SMS. But being a member of syndicate, then I said, no way we are going to allow PYLEE sir to stop this award. We have to go and convince him. If he has a displeasure, we have to address it. And one professor in the syndicate, Professor Lopez Matthew, he also stood along with me that we should go consult PYLEE sir and we should console him. So we too, then syndicate entrusted we to go and meet PYLEE sir. We took appointment, we went there. PYLEE sir wanted to get Pudwal sir and Basi sir and KJ Nair sir also along with us for the discussion. And we discussed. Sir, in his natural voice and tone, he expressed his whole anger and his whole frustrations in the way the award was conducted. But we were able to convince him. Sir, creating restrooms, you don't need to pay money. University can do that. Though university did not do that, we will try to make it. And sir, this award should go. If there is any issue related to the prize money, due to the reduced interest rate, we will redesign the policies and guidelines, but we will continue with this distinguished award. And we will try to create some other facility. We will try to create facilities in SMS auditorium in some other way. Then he said, if you are ready, I can give more money to do something. Then I suggested, sir, in that case, if you can contribute something, we will start an MV PYLEE endowment lecture. He was so happy and he agreed to give the money also. And we subcommittee submitted the report. One part was about redefining the MV PYLEE award, and now still it is going on. And second part was about instituting an endowment lecture on MV PYLEE, in the name of MV PYLEE. University orders came out, but people who were responsible for meeting PYLEE sir and getting money, they did not do that, and we were not able to materialize that. So SMS auditorium remained same, and MV PYLEE endowment lecture did not come up. During the tenure of Dr. Jagdiraj, he again initiated, he approached PYLEE sir's son, Mr. Varghese PYLEE, and he persuaded him, and we were able to get 5 lakh rupees from Mr. PYLEE Varghese, and we now in the process of formally instituting the endowment lecture. Guidelines are submitted to the university, and university syndicate will approve it very shortly, and this will become in 100% reality. Though we are conducting the lecture, the full implementation of the project will come soon. Right. So I take this opportunity to thank 2 people. One is Dr. Jagdiraj, who was instrumental in bringing this money, and second is Mr. Varghese PYLEE, who donated graciously with a magnanimous mind. And at this time, I should let you know Mr. Varghese PYLEE, PYLEE sir's son, who donated this amount, recently passed away. So with the permission of the chair, Vice Chancellor, I request everyone to stand a moment to pay homage to Mr. Varghese PYLEE. Thank you. And again, one more thing I just wanted to add. After the demise of PYLEE sir, immediately there was a Senate meeting. In that Senate, I moved an urgent resolution. It was nothing. Resolution meant for renovating SMS auditorium and renaming it as MV PYLEE Memorial Auditorium. the whole House unanimously passed the resolution. But we know resolutions are resolutions, it won't get implemented. But at least at this point of time, when we are starting this endowment lecture, we need to think about that. Our Honorable Vice Chancellor is here. He is a man who is believing in developmental initiatives. He is trying to tap corporate CSR funds, and he is trying to generate funds for developmental activities. So I take this opportunity to request our Honorable Vice Chancellor to do justice to a great doyen, academic doyen, a visionary leader who created name and fame for our university. Professor M.V. PYLEE must be honored. So the resolution of the Senate must be implemented. So I request, I believe the entire SMS community who is sitting in front of me will join me to submit this request to the Vice Chancellor to initiate steps to renovate our SMS auditorium and making it a memorial of Professor M.V. PYLEE. I request your support for that. So I do not take much of your time. I'm moving to my pleasant duty of welcoming the guest. Today's function is presided over by none other than our Vice Chancellor, Professor Junaid Bushri. On behalf of everyone present here, I extend a cordial welcome to our Vice Chancellor. Dr. Sunil Kumar, IAS, former Chief Secretary of Chhattisgarh, first batch student, classmate of Haswani sir. He will be introduced formally later, so without saying much, I extend a cordial, sincere welcome to Dr. Sunil Kumar IAS. Mr. PYLEE, grandson of PYLEE sir, another PYLEE, young man who can also contribute much to this world. So I'm sure he will take the legacy of PYLEE sir and he will also contribute productively to academia and industry. On behalf of everyone present here, I extend a warm welcome to Mr. PYLEE Wagis. Dr. Smarty is part and parcel of the event. She is the faculty coordinator. As a matter of formality, I welcome Dr. Smarty. I welcome all former teachers, including Shankar Narayanan sir, then our alumni network president Aswani sir, then some of the classmates and friends of Sunil Kumar sir is present, former directors, present faculty members, controller of examination, research scholars, people from the press, students. I extend a warm welcome to you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Moving on, we are truly honored to have with us Professor Dr. M. Junaid Bushri, who assumed the office of Vice Chancellor of Cochin University of Science and Technology on September 21, 2024. A distinguished academician, Dr. Bushri has been a senior professor in the Department of Physics at CUSAT since 2006. And before joining CUSAT, he built an impressive international career, working at renowned institutions like the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, Academia Sinica in Taiwan, the Institute of Molecular Science in Okazaki, Japan, and the Department of Física Aplicada at the University of Valencia, Spain, as well as the Department of...
Thank you. Thank you. Very warm good morning to all. Respectful Professor Zakaria, Director, School of Management Studies, respectful Dr. Sunil Kumar, respectful Junior PYLEE, and dear faculties, dear friends. So, as far as our university is concerned, it is a very precious moment. We organized this important event of our university, Professor M.V. PYLEE Memorial Endowment Lecture. So we don't need any introduction about Professor M.V. PYLEE to the people of the Kerala, particularly people, those who are in the management community. He is considered to be the father of the management in Kerala. And he born in the year 1919, and he was with us till 2017. And he got a very prestigious award from the Government of India, Padma Bhushan. So he is the only person who received that prestigious award from our community, particularly from the Cochin University, the prestigious Padma Bhushan award. And also he was a founder director of the School of Management Studies, which has a very long tradition and legacy. And it is one of the important and notable management schools which have a very good ranking, particularly in India, and 100 among the ranking agencies. And in Kerala also it is having very good position, even if nowadays this Cochin University of Science and Technology have a few flagship department. Among the department is the School of Management Studies. It was started very early as far as the university history is concerned. And he was also acted as the Vice Chancellor of the Cochin University of Science and Technology from 1977 to 81. A 4-year term he was in the office of the Vice Chancellor. If my memory is correct, he is the second Vice Chancellor of the Cochin University of Science and Technology. Of course, he has initiated several steps, not only in the management studies, and also for the development of Cochin University to shape the Cochin University as a science and technology university. So we know that it is one of the very prestigious universities in India. Of course, I would like to remember his contribution for shaping our university to this direction, this orientation. And he is also a noted expert in the constitutional law. Even he is known for his management, but he is well known as far as his constitutional expertise is concerned. I'm very thankful, and I'm very particularly for his son PYLEE Varghese Moolamatam for instituting Endowment Prize, because that is helped us to institute this Endowment Award. And his grandson is also here. I'm very thankful. On behalf of, I express thanks, our gratitude to the family members of Professor M.V. PYLEE for helping university organizing these events. And as far as this particular event is concerned, I think all of us are very lucky to have a very renowned person in the field of the administration, Dr. Sunil Kumar. He is actually belongs to Koilon from Kerala, and he was an alumni of the Fatima Mother National College of Koilon. Actually, he studied my subject during his degree days. He studied physics. After that, he joined civil service with a very good ranking. And I don't know exactly what is his rank position. But after that, he was with the MHRD minister, Sri Arjun Singh, when he was the MHRD minister. He was instrumental in initiating several restructuring reforms and with respect to the UGC and also higher education sector. He is very well known, he is well aware of the things what is actually happening in the academic field. And also he got doctorate later. His actually I mentioned his field was in physics. His graduation was in physics, but he did his doctorate from the prestigious Jamia Millia Islamia University in public administration. And he served in the state of, the Chhattisgarh. It is an underdeveloped state, but he was the Chief Secretary of the Chhattisgarh, and he also took several initiatives for the development of the Chhattisgarh state. Anyway, all of us are very happy to have such a renowned person for delivering Professor M.V. PYLEE Memorial Lecture. I wish all the success because I'm not going to take much time from all of you. I wish all the success for this M.V. PYLEE Memorial Endowment Lecture. And I would like to once again thanks to the School of Management Studies and faculty and the alumni, as well as the family members of the Professor M.V. PYLEE for initiating this Professor M.V. PYLEE Memorial Endowment Lecture. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for presiding the gathering. Moving on. Today, as we gather to honor the life and legacy of Dr. M.V. PYLEE, it is only fitting that we hear not just from the colleagues and admirers, but from those who carry forward his legacy in deeply personal ways. Now, I welcome Mr. PYLEE Verghese Moolamattam, someone who knew Dr. PYLEE not only as a public intellectual and visionary educator, but as a grandfather. Mr. Verghese, we may request you to kindly take the stage.
Thank you, everyone. Respected dignitaries, Dr. Junaid Bushri, Dr. Sunil Kumar, Dr. Zakaria, Dr. Smati Mugundan, and everyone else with us. I would also like to, give a mention to my father, who is not here anymore. I'm sure he's watching from up above this lecture, because this is something which is very close to his heart as well. It's both an honor and an emotional moment for me to stand before here today, representing our family and reminiscing about my beloved grandfather, Dr. M.V. PYLEE. As his grandson, I've had the privilege of witnessing not only a towering academician and a visionary leader that he was, but also a compassionate, kind-hearted human being that he was to all of us. Dr. M.V. PYLEE was a man ahead of his time, a visionary leader, a scholar, an educator, an institution builder, and a philanthropist. His contribution to the Constitution of India and higher education in India, particularly in this field of management, is unparalleled. As the founding architect of management education in India and Kerala, he was also the Vice Chancellor of Cochin University, and he played a pivotal role in shaping countless minds, instilling values of excellence, integrity, and service to society. But above all, to me, he was known as Papa, and to all of our family members, a loving grandfather who was always a source of warmth and wisdom. His guidance extended beyond books and lectures. He taught us through his actions, through his unwavering discipline, his commitment to lifelong learning, and his deep-rooted humility. No matter how high he soared in his career, he always remained grounded and deeply connected to the family and the ones that shaped him. I have countless memories I can think of growing up with him. His stories of perseverance, his passion for education, and his belief that knowledge is the greatest gift that one could give to society. He operated at the highest level possible at every levels he was in, and every role he took on. Growing up, he overcame hardships at a very young age. He had to walk kilometers to go to school just to access basic education. And he never let any of these obstacles stop him from getting to where he was. One of the days when he was going to school, commuting to school, the boat he used to cross the river was flown away, and there was no way to reach the educational institution. So what he did, he actually tied up the books on his head, and he swam the river just to reach from the other side. So such was the determination of Dr. M.V. PYLEE at a very young age. And he didn't let anything stop him from gaining access to education, even when kids mocked at him at that point of time, saying, what is he going to study and become, doing all this? When he was young, he went through a lot of hardships, and his education was stalled on many occasions. And that's when he started teaching. And from a very young age, he was called PYLEE Sir, which is a testament to the respect he earned at a young age. His excellence was not just in academics. He was an all-rounder. He was excellent in sports and extracurricular activities. The medals he earned were sold to fund his education and support his family. After securing distinction in SB College, he continued teaching and later had the opportunity to serve the army, to serve the nation as well as his family. Once he moved back to India, he was in Lucknow completing his MA in Constitutional Law, and then he practiced and taught in Patna University. He was soon a recipient of the Fulbright Scholarship and went on to complete LLM from Harvard University. And he continued his research work in India. At every stage of his career, he was handpicked for leadership roles starting from Delhi University to Hyderabad Administrative Staff College. He was in his comfort zone, but yet he left all of that to save a greater purpose. Along with MKK Nair, he had set up a world-class institution over here. He had a true calling to come back to Kerala and set up management education over here. And his commitment continued well into the 90s. When asked when would he retire, he would always smile and say, "Until I take my last breath." Growing up, we had access to his library, like his study room. That was a source of knowledge which was filled with journals, research papers, and religious scriptures, which included the Bhagavad Gita, Bible, and Quran. It still remains a treasure trove of knowledge, most of which can be found in the CUSAT library. He had an uncanny ability to make everyone around him feel valued and encouraged, always emphasizing that true success was not measured by the wealth or titles, but by the impact we make in the lives of others. His legacy, which usually takes lifetime to achieve, is not just by the institution he built or the accolades he's received, but in the people he's mentored. Most of you who are listening and who are here as well. And his life was a testament to the power of dedication, perseverance in adversity, and the transformational potential of education. Well, every memory fades over time. Knowledge is lost by passing of a person. But with Dr. M.V. PYLEE, his journey can be followed through his autobiography. Two of them, The Royal Path of Service, thanks to Lalita ma'am, who's actually set it up. She has the book as well. And as well as Stop Singing When the Voice is Good. These are books which I read when he actually passed away in 2017. I took 3 days reading his entire journey, and I felt a sense of contentment going through the journey at every hardships he faced and the struggles he had to come through to become what he was. At the end of the book, I had tears in my eyes, hearing where he had to go through and come across to be what he was today. Dr. M.V. PYLEE was a true son. For many who don't know, he actually honored his father by registering all the land and property he had in his name because his dad didn't have anything. He was a true brother. He supported all of his siblings. As a leader of the family, he ensured none of the family members had to go through the hardships he went through. And through the M.V. PYLEE Foundation and several endowments, supporting underprivileged children for higher education, Papa was different. He empowered those around him, offered unwavering support, transforming the lives of those he touched. And above all, he believed in service. Service to his family, service to his students, service to society, and to the nation. His generosity, his wisdom, and his humility left an indelible mark on everyone who has had the privilege of knowing him. Even in his final years, his mind remained sharp as ever, always eager to learn, teach, and guide. I remember him attending meetings in his late 90s, even when he was told not to go out of the house. As I stand today in front of you, I feel this presence in each of us. His vision lives on in the minds he shaped, and the kindness in the hearts he touched. His wisdom and lessons imparted to everyone around us. While we miss him dearly, we take solace in knowing that his ideas, his perseverance in adversity, and his contributions continue to inspire the generations to come. Let us honor his memory by carrying forward his passion for learning, his commitment to excellence, and above all, believing in making a difference in the life of others. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Varghese, for taking us to your warm memories with Dr. M.V. PYLEE. It is now time for the Professor M.V. PYLEE Memorial Endowment Lecture. Who better to deliver this year's M.V. PYLEE Memorial Endowment Lecture but Dr. Sunil Kumar? I take this opportunity to formally introduce him. Dr. Kumar was part of the first full-time MBA batch at the School of Management Studies, specializing in marketing. Dr. Kumar went on to receive his PhD from Jamia Millia Islamia and a master's in public administration for Harvard University, where he also earned the distinction of being an Edward S. Mason Fellow. We are honored to welcome Dr. Kumar, a stalwart of Indian administration, who brings to the fore over 4 decades of experience across business management, public administration, and academia. As 1979 batch IAS officer, he retired as Chief Secretary of Chhattisgarh in 2014. His roles spanned District Collector, Secretary, Principal Secretary to CM Chhattisgarh, and senior position in the Ministry of HRD. In management, he held key leadership roles including Chairman and MD of HCL, MD of Modern Foods, and executive roles at Scooters India and Hyderabad Alvin. He also served on the boards of SCL and NDTV. Dr. Kumar is known for pioneering initiatives like Step Up for Urban Livelihoods and Chunauti Disability Campaign, CLAT for National Law Universities, and the UN-recognized Participatory Human Development Model for Chhattisgarh. Post-retirement, he was Vice Chair of the Chhattisgarh State Planning Commission and a Dispute Resolution Panel member for public sector oil firms. Internationally, he has advised UNESCO, UNDP, FAO, and the World Democracy Forum. A thought leader in media and public policy, he has served on the governing bodies of IITs, IIMs, and central universities, and remains as an active speaker and writer. Dr. Kumar will be sharing his thoughts on Musings of an Alumnus on management education. Sir, it is an honor to have you with us here today. The stage is all yours.
I don't know, I have about 35 minutes to inflict on them. Thank you. Dr. Busheri is not here, but let me go on record. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. M. Junaid Bushiri, Honorable Director, Professor Dr. K. A. Zakaria, thank you. Distinguished members of the faculty and staff, Dr. Smarty, former directors, my revered teacher, Professor K.C. Shankar Narayanan, my dear batchmates Deepak Aswani, George Nainan, and Sanjeevan, who have surprised me with their presence here. And since I'm told this is being live streamed, all the friends and well-wishers of School of Management and CUSAT, and dear students. Where is the... I think I remain technologically challenged. Anyway, I begin with a tribute to a mentor. The transformative power of good ideas keep one's hopes alive in educational institutions. Cochin University of Science and Technology is fortunate to have benefited from the wisdom of so many great members of the community of the academe, and late Professor Mulamattam Varki PYLEE, as founding director of School of Management Studies and later as the VC of CUSAT, would rank as a giant among them. Thanks to all those contributions and those by who have followed, such as Dr. Bushiri, Dr. Zakaria, and others, CUSAT continues to play its vital role in the social and economic development of Kerala and indeed of India. I could relate to Professor PYLEE not merely as between a teacher and the taught. I was fortunate to have been in the first full-time batch to be mentored by him here at SMS. I vividly recall his inaugural lecture and many of the lectures he delivered on the principles of management and on the moral aspects of life itself towards the concluding sessions in 1975, when as we as students of the first batch were taking leave of this great institution. I was also privileged to have received a glowing testimonial from him, vouching for my credentials, along with another one from Professor Poduval, when I was on my way to Harvard University some years later. Nearly 30 years after my graduation from SMS, I was privileged once again to interact with Professor PYLEE on his notification as National Professor, a distinction only a handful of the distinguished academics have been conferred with. I happened to be, at the time, the Joint Secretary responsible for higher education, policies and programs in the Ministry of Human Resource Development in Government of India. I recall that to celebrate his notification, on one of his visits to Delhi, I had invited him home. And I happened to introduce him to my father-in-law, Mr. K.R.K. Menon, a former civil servant who happened to be also visiting me at the time and was staying with me. I introduced him to my father-in-law, and it was a pleasant discovery that Professor PYLEE and Mr. Menon were not only classmates, while in school from class 6 onwards, for some years at Muvatupura, but what is more, the two of them formed their school team as class 6 students, and this team went on to win an all Kerala state level quiz competition, beating competitors much older, much wiser. Some of my prized possessions are a few of the books and publications authored by him and autographed by him as souvenirs from my personal collection. Again, at a personal level, Professor PYLEE was an inspiration for my son Apurva Kurup, who is now a designated senior advocate practicing in Delhi, to join Harvard Law School for his graduation in LLM, as Professor PYLEE himself had done decades earlier. It was therefore not surprising that when the learned director of SMS invited me, the one who enthusiastically encouraged me to accept the honor of speaking here today happened to be my father-in-law, who turned 100 on 13th of June last year and had asked me to convey his best wishes to all of you at SMS. He may even have accompanied me this morning, but for being hospitalized, and most unfortunately, we lost him on 30th March, on Sunday, and as a matter of fact, even as I speak, his mortal remains are being consigned, in the river, and my wife happens to be there, otherwise she would have accompanied me here. I'm sorry for this. For the topic for this evening, I decided to deal with management education, of which Professor PYLEE, as you all heard just now, was among the pioneers in India, and to him must go the credit of mentoring not only generations of students of management before mine, as well as that of mine and those who have since followed. After all, many of my own classmates had gone on to teach at several prestigious management schools across the country, in addition to those who have gone on to occupy leadership positions in business, industry, banking, and myriad other sectors. Here is a caveat. My familiarity with the nuances of higher education is limited to dealing with higher educational policies, which is more of a ringside view. Therefore, whether what I'm going to share with you this morning would qualify to be a lecture or is only an informed talk is for you to judge, and I hope you know the difference. Next slide. Let me begin with what I gained from my own exposure to management education at SMS. I remain grateful to my teachers here at SMS. Professor Shankarnayan is here, and it's only for paucity of time that I do not name each one of them. Sitting through some of their lectures delivered, and case studies discussed with them gave me some strengths of analysis. For instance, Professor Ranganathan's classes in marketing management taught me to diagnose problems which may not be so obvious to the conventional way of doing things. When I marketed refrigerators for Alwyn in the highly competitive North Indian market, his lectures on understanding the subtle difference between selling through dealers and selling to dealers helped me to suggest to the management to modify our off-season sales policy, which resulted in eliminating the abuse of dealer incentives by some of our crafty dealers. I reinforce this point, that nothing that we learn in the classroom is ever wasted. And that is the true meaning of professional education. On another occasion, again at Alwyn, which prided itself on the widest range of refrigerators for every family size in India, the concept of contribution margin, taught to me by Sir in his class, on the topic of break-even point, helped me to convince our management at our annual marketing conference in early September 1978, to drop one of the models, the 200-liter Queen, which was contributing negatively. The marketing team resisted my idea, but I found allies elsewhere. I did also learn from that episode, even the most invaluable of ideas that may occur to a cub needs to be credited to the tiger in command. Had I primed my marketing director on whether I could put forward the proposal at the conference, and that the entire credit would go to the marketing team and its leader, and not individually to me, I could have avoided the subtle hostility that had followed my presentation. Years later, another senior of mine, someone who was my mentor in the civil services, gave me some practical wisdom. Sunil, never ever make a flawless or perfect proposal. Leave enough margin of inconsequential errors for your boss to correct those and feel that he or she has also made some contribution, however meaningless those may be. It's only then that the thrust of your proposal and your ideation would not be tampered with. I had followed that sage advice all my working life and always left punctuations and some spelling typos in my draft proposals for my superiors to make their share of their contribution in value addition. If one compares the syllabus that we were required to tread during our course and what you are currently expected to cover, I must concede with some degree of envy that management education has changed without doubt, and for the better. Technology is influencing and shaping theory more than ever before. To cite an example, we were taught the concept of the span of control in the context of the hierarchy-based organization structure. While the core of management structures of line and staff functional classification remains valid, with the advancement of technology, the old notion that there should be an optimal number of subordinates is open to challenge. Education that was imparted to my generation of budding managers could justifiably be called the old school of inputs. For instance, there was an artificial distinction between manager and entrepreneur. The difference was based on the premise of risk and the degrees of ability to take risks, simplified to imply that entrepreneur takes risks in setting up businesses and managers operate ongoing businesses. Now this presumes business as a long-term ongoing concept, which is true, but times have changed. An ongoing business shall not remain so unless reinvented, or else competition, newer players, newer technologies are bound to disrupt it. That calls for taking risks, for adopting changes from within. A visionary manager would foresee the inevitability of change and the need to side with the promoter entrepreneur in the risk venture. The changes in the syllabus introduced in the last few years have fortunately done away with such artificial distinctions, and entrepreneurship happens to be a part of your curriculum at present. Another change I've noticed in management pedagogy points perhaps to the state of the moral fabric of society in general. In that, business schools now use case studies of scams in their curriculum. Providing inputs on ethical managerial behavior is understandable and reasonable. But the need to introduce such case studies, though valuable for imparting real-life lessons and learnings, also points to the decline that young management students need to be guarding against. Yes, there are case studies of success stories, of failures too, but those were the only genre of cases that we as students then were familiar with. At least in some of these games, these days, case studies of Satyam, Yes Bank or Enron is a must read. At least in some of these camps, stakeholders could have been forewarned if the telltale signs had been diagnosed ahead of time. And for that, one must rely on information, and not merely information from management reports, which is internal to the organization, but information from outside as well, to which I shall come to shortly. As managers, we are bound to come across situations where two equally desirable options present themselves for decision making, with both having some moral dimensions inherent in them, and both may have equally compelling reasons for choosing or not choosing either. In the context of management education, one moral dilemma is, do we continue with a one-size-fits-all type of syllabus, or given the advancements in technology where even individual consumer-directed marketing is easily done, should management education be tailored for individual student needs, depending on aptitude and inclination of the individual scholar? Could some of what was once considered as core be treated as an option, and could something considered optional form the core of learning? Further, how many degrees of freedom shall management schools be allowed to deviate from the mandated curricular framework of AICTE or whichever body governs? Another moral dilemma is that what balance do we strike between the wider societal concerns and the specific organizational or segmented market concerns? Yet another moral dilemma would be, do we impart multi-skilling inputs or industry-specific skill sets? Yet another moral dilemma is the extent to which inputs on morality itself ought to be imparted to young students. While each of these dilemmas has been resolved to some extent by reputed management schools, including SMS CUSAT, a continuing moral dilemma of management education then, as well as now, is that of imparting education for the real world versus that for the ideal world. The ideal world is static for longer periods and changes only occasionally as cultural mores and values change, albeit subtly. The real world, on the other hand, changeth by the hour. Case studies as part of the curriculum are important, but deal with the past of a real world, which may have since changed, and no two cases could remain or were the same. That being so, development and advancement of artificial intelligence may be a blessing. One of the oft-heard maxims is, there is no right or wrong answer to a case, only successful or unsuccessful results. So how likely is it that a successful decision of the past could be repeated? And if so, given what controllable factors? Or again, would it be possible to turn an unsuccessful decision of the past into a potentially successful decision by tweaking one or more of the variables from that period through AI-generated models? Using AI, it should be possible to project future scenarios based on the past experiences or independent of past experiences. Thus, artificial intelligence generated alternative scenario analysis could be curated by one's own natural or native intelligence, and it's bound to be the pedagogical way forward. This is something that my generation could never have imagined when I talk of management education then and now. When my generation was being educated as students, we had the luxury of relatively greater stability of knowledge. As changes are more rapid today than at any time in the past, managers need to be alert to the dynamics of the social, political, and economic ambience. One may ask, as young managers, should we worry about it at all? All those things which are, after all, external to the immediate employer organization. And what are we? Just small cogs in the lowest rung of the giant corporate wheel? Let's assume there is a public policy decision affecting a specific industry of which one's organization is a part. While the responsibility of bailing out or preparing the company from the fallout of the policy is not expected to be dealt with at the junior levels, Almighty forbid, if there is an adverse outcome, one's career cannot escape unscathed. So while nothing dramatic is expected of a junior manager or a fresher, alertness on his or her part can help prepare for timely redemption and proactive self-preservation. And at the middle or higher levels, one's alertness would, apart from helping in taking timely personal career decisions, help one in contributing to timely organizational correctives to mitigate or avoid corporate risks by evaluating alternatives for better decisions in the changing ambience. How does one learn to look at the ambience in which one functions? Certainly not through gossip or handed down wisdom or old notions. Society is changing, and not just change is permanent, but disruptions are even more frequent. Media is the window through which we look at and perceive society. The thrust of my argument this morning is about the need for management education curricula to include not merely soft skills of communicating, but also media literacy. That is, the skills of understanding the media which engages in wider mass communication. There is a flood of information out there brought to us through newspapers, internet, television, radio, and so on, collectively called the media. This information overflow can be puzzling, if not confusing altogether. Apart from the challenge of selecting which media to rely upon for accessing news, opinions, and views, there is an additional challenge of evaluating the reliability or veracity of the content, both in the mainstream media as well as in the social media. Yet another challenge is that of understanding the nuances or subtexts of even those contents which otherwise qualify for veracity. One may argue that one doesn't have to be a media professional. True. Yet the fact of the matter is that every manager must not only have keen eyes and ears for the external environment brought to us by the media, but also possess a broad understanding of what, where, when, who, why, and how of developments in society, in politics, in the economy, as brought to us by the media. Traditionally, these fundamental elements of news are used by journalists to craft their news reports. And media is important to businesses, not merely as a valuable vehicle for advertising and publicity, but also for keeping abreast of the environment in which it operates, about its consumers, its distribution channels, its competitors, its vendors, its workers, and so on. Incidentally, media is also big business, with sector revenues in India estimated at over rupees 3 lakh crores. Why else would business groups, business houses compete to gain control of newspapers and television channels? Businesses in general use media for the business growth. Therefore, management students should understand and appreciate the importance of media for organizations and for their personal career options as well. Businesses, as all of us know, worry about public opinion. Media can influence public opinion through its wide audience, mediated messages, and multiple channels, including the more recent interactive channel of the digital media. The mediated messages are both factual as well as investigative, thematic as well as episodic. There is a whole body of literature in management research on corporate reputation. And at the fount of such research is the role of media in influencing public perception of corporates and their reputation. Obviously, media narratives of corporate reputation affect investor sentiments, particularly among the small individual investors who seldom have access to analytical information prepared by professionals, which get confined to their narrow intellectual circles. Wider dissemination of analytical information, otherwise confined to professional journals or limited audience, is possible only through mass media. Media selects, restructures, and presents information of wider public interest in a reader or audience-friendly manner, devoid of complexities. It highlights a company's attributes, its prospects, the positives and negatives of its performance, both financially as well as from the corporate governance and managerial perspectives. And yet, media accounts can go beyond all this. Every corporate organization must make efforts to neutralize or avoid negative news. Of course, in a lighter note, the best course of action would be not to manage organizations in a manner that leads to negative publicity. One may say, well, to strengthen media relations, one could always engage professional media consultants. That happens to be one option. Engaging commercially with media outlets by releasing advertisings is another strategy. However, these are double-edged options and need not necessarily have long-term advantages, as I shall show you shortly through an example. While directly engaging with the media by keeping it informed through press releases by public relations managers is a long-standing practice, yet as one goes up the managerial ladder, one cannot escape dealing with the media and journalists personally. Some management schools now offer inputs in media management, but those skills should not be imparted optionally. Indeed, every management student must be soft-skilled to engage with journalists and the media. Mass media is not always at odds with businesses. It can be an ally if allowed to take an objective hands-off view without rubbing shoulders or being in a beer hug. Because proximity may lead to lack of objectivity on the part of media. Media coverage of Byju's, which was launched in 2011. Now, this is one of the first, news break about Byju's in the popular media when it tied up with Hindu and started extending this. Now, I'll show you where it went to. He started getting written about. Byju's owner Ravindran's journey from school teacher to India. This was a success story. Then, of course, if one glances through media coverage over the years, in the beginning, the company was celebrated for its high ratings, and the news coverage was about information about how Byju's fills the biggest gap in Indian education. About its valuation, how it surged from 5.4 billion to 25 billion, the various funding rounds, okay, how it had enrollments in over 120 countries and had offices in over 21 countries. How he was reinventing the classroom through a learning app. Then it was all about the app which it made. Okay. Why is it? Okay. No, I think it's... Hi, can you please move? This is about how it acquired great learning. The next. Next, please. Why Topper had to sell to Byju's, the inside story. So it was all about its growth, about how it's revolutionizing. Next, please. Then slowly it started emerging that, you know, employees were being made to work harder, parents were being approached, EMI was being forced on them. You know, here and there, a couple of negative news items. Next, please. Then we have this, Byju's Ravindran breaks into tears as crisis engulf EdTech startup. Next. How it went up from a startup star to facing insolvency. Next. ED raids premises. Next. Why brought more than, you know, any other, this was the defense, how it was. Next. How there was a sham hedge fund. Next. They sold. Now the point is, when this growth story was being projected, no one, the media never questioned, how come your financial results are not being published? The 21 results were not published, for instance. How come you are expanding, you are acquiring Akash, you are doing this, that, and the other? Now, we can't go too much into it because it's a matter sub judice. But for the confines of the classroom and for our academic understanding, timely warning was never issued. And why was it never issued? Next. You must be all Malayalis will be familiar with this. The next. Look at that. Next. You see icons, celebrity endorsements. So this went on. So people were investing and the valuation had $22 billion, they said. And suddenly when this negative tide started, it fell to 99% of its worth was lost to small investors, to employees who had tied their fortunes with the company. Next. And then when Shah Rukh Khan's son got embroiled in some narcotics controversy, alleged controversy, they started distancing. So it's, you know, that I spoke about the bear hug and the next. Then stops it. But that's it. Now I'll show you how media frames narratives. Yeah, please. This is a recent article, news item on 4th March 2025. Times of India carried a news item. Ola Electric cuts over 1,000 jobs as losses widen. There was a sub-headline, move comes months after company fired 500 employees in a rejig. The story opens with the news quoting sources that it's cutting several jobs as it's trying to check costs and stem its losses, and then goes on to inform readers that the company which had got listed in the bourses only a year previously saw its consolidated losses widen to 564 crores from 376 crores. The story then quotes sources in the company about the steps it took, restructuring, automation of front-end operations, cost reduction, increased store counts. And then it concludes, the next one, yeah, it concludes by saying, Bhavish Agarwal led Ola Electric, which competes with players like Bajaj Auto, TVS Motor, and Ether Energy, has recently also come under the scanner of Consumer Protection Authority over complaints of deficiencies in services and the products of the company. The startup has been seen a senior level departures in the recent months, with its chief technology and chief marketing officers quitting in December. The stock price of Ola Electric has dropped more than 60% from its peak in listing in August 24. The story, as you can see, is a double column story attributed to Times News Network and carried a photograph of its founder, Bhavish Agrawal. Next. The same day, the Hindu in its Delhi edition carried a single column story on which the headline, Ola Electric to cut about 1,000 jobs to reduce losses, and it's attributed to Press Trust of India. The story opens the same way. It's about cutting jobs, restructuring exercise to reduce losses, and according to people aware of development, the story goes on to say, when contacted, it had last year trimmed about 500 jobs, etc., etc. So these are all to vouch for its understanding of the situation. The story carries a quote from the spokesperson of the company that we have restructured and automated our front-end operations, delivering improved margins, reduced cost, and enhanced customer experience while eliminating redundant roles for better productivity. The story says that the second round of job cuts within 5 months comes at a time when Ola Electric has been taking strategic moves to boost EBITDA margins by almost 10 percentage points. Besides improving inventory management, hastening customer deliveries. The story concludes by informing readers that the firm has eliminated regional warehouses across India, deciding to leverage instead the 4,000 retail stores for vehicle inventory, spare parts, and last mile deliveries. And that in the third quarter, ending December 31st, 2024, the firm reported a widening of consolidated net loss at 524 crores. Now, next, yeah. Now, what is common to both stories is that Ola is cutting about 1,000 jobs. It had done in the recent past 500 jobs it had done away with. Its losses have widened on a year-to-year basis, had taken several steps to reduce costs and improve productivity. The headlines give different shades to the same news. Now, you can go back to the headlines. The first one you recall, Ola Electric cuts over 1,000 jobs as losses widen. Go back to the Hindu thing. To reduce losses, and then the headlines give, TOIs gives little hope. Hindus give some hope. Again, the reference to improvement in EBITDA margins in the Hindu story, about which there is no mention in the Times of India story, gives positive hope to the stakeholders and the public. Does the TOI story give the same feeling of a positive future? Obviously no. Steep fall in share prices. This is something Hindus doesn't refer at all. Quitting of key personnel in top management. If you are a reader of Times of India, this is sunk. It's a gone case. Let's quit. Let's not buy. But if you are a reader of Hindu, you get an entirely different, there is some hope. Yes, they are not doing well. Now, my purpose was to say, the meanings implied by those who make or produce news may be entirely different from the meanings received or understood or interpreted by the audience. For that reason, managers producing media narratives on corporate activities need to look for what may be embedded in the narrative text. That is, feel the deeper meaning within news, within what the media. Apart from what is commonly called bias in reporting, which may be due to a variety of reasons, media may also be prone to stereotype corporates, their activities, their leaders. Stereotyping can be misleading and negative, assumed or presumed. Recently, there was a CEO in an internal conference which went viral in the social media, telling people not to take weekends off. What would you do other than stare at your wife, kind of a thing. You remember that. Now, this is how news develops. You have no control over it. So, stereotyping can be misleading and negative, assumed or presumed. While stereotyping corporates or business and the key personalities, there can be derogatory, insulting, or blatantly reinforcing of negative images. Bias is more nuanced. Which side are you leaning towards? And in reporting even factual issues like profits and losses, turnover, what is highlighted and what is not mentioned. I showed you the two examples of Hindu and Times of India. And of course, in qualitative aspects, there can be ample free play by the media. News narratives presented to the public may deal with competition or conflicts in markets, or with the economic consequences of decision making, or with the human interest stories dealing with employees and consumers, or with issues of moral responsibility, such as your corporate being a threat to environment or social norms or not, placing salience on some aspects of a narrative rather than other aspects of it, to influence those aspects to be perceived meaning, even if those may not be the real meaning, is what is called framing in media literature. Are all sides of any issue being covered by the media? Is a question worth asking when understanding mediated realities in the business world. In other words, while media represents the world to us, how it so represents is important for managers to understand. Just as individuals may have issues with how they are projected by the media, so do corporate organizations. Media occupies the space between the corporate organization and the public audience and informs not just investors or potential investors, vendors or potential vendors, employees or potential employees, not just institutions of the executive government, the legislative bodies or local governments, judicially or the quasi-judicial institutions or the regulatory authorities, and not just consumers and potential consumers or the competition. Indeed, even the lay public, which may be interested in happening just for the sake of curiosity. What exists in reality and what is represented through media may differ, notwithstanding claims of representing facts and reality, and the content, the context, and the timing all combine to contribute to such differentia. When the media reports or covers corporates, the way a corporate group is represented, or the coverage of the nature of competition in a certain industry, or how the domestic economy itself is perceived through the lens of the media, can influence potential foreign investor sentiments, scope for collaborations in much needed transfer of technologies, and so on. Media research shows that stakeholders perceive media coverage as more credible than direct communication, particularly during crisis. Media research also shows that corporate communication can limit negative media coverage and manage perceptions. Greater engagement with media, including the social media, helps to improve the public image of businesses and corporates. A good example is Mr. Anand Mahindra, who has over 11 million followers on X. He keeps himself relevant by commenting on happenings with positive comments and reinforcing that self-image through meaningful societal interventions. Long before corporate social responsibility was mandatorily introduced in the Companies Act, Mahindra's, for example, had been providing access to over 500,000 underprivileged girls to high-quality education through their NGO. Businesses very often, like government sometimes, do not take the media seriously until it is too late. A classic case is that of a late friend of mine, Mr. Rajkumar Kesarwani, who had relentlessly, I recall, in the from the mid-70s onwards till the early 80s, he had followed and had been reporting the possibility of a leakage of gas, methyl isocyanate, at the pesticide plant of Union Carbide in Bhopal. His news reports were ignored by everyone. Union Carbide's management, its local affiliates, as well as its holding company, a Dow Chemical Company, and by the local authorities. The then state government, the then central government, and everyone else, including the local population who is to reside around the plant. Nearly 3,800 of them, most unfortunately, perished in the tragedy. Mahindra Group is generally perceived positively by the media, as I just now told you, with Mr. Anand Mahindra's efforts. Today it is so, but in stark contrast with the media coverage post-Bhopal gas tragedy, when Keshav Mahindra, Anand Mahindra's uncle, the then chairman of the group, was convicted. Next. This was intended to be a talk on my perceptual understanding of media management education. Therefore, I'm not going into the political economy perspectives of media and its commodification. including sensationalization of news. I do know that much thought has already gone into the design of your curriculum based on the AICT's model curriculum, and that it does include understanding of media as a vehicle for marketing, advertising of products, services, and corporate image building and public relations perspective. As far as I can figure it out, the thrust is on influencing consumer behavior using both traditional and modern media. However, that may need some embellishments. Therefore, I shall consider my exertion this morning to be amply rewarded if at least some of the young budding managers consider understanding news and other relevant media narratives with an inquisitive and critical mind as an essential skill and quality to be imbibed as part of their education. This quality would certainly help you stay rooted to reality and help you to avoid what late Mark McCormack had famously called naive form of arrogance, which he equated MBA to. I wish all the young students a very bright future, and thank all of you for your immense patience. Thank you very much. I would welcome any questions if there be time, or else I have already put my email there. You are free to introduce yourself and send me mails, any kind of question. Yes, sir. In the public administration. Look, the difference between public administration and, in fact, I'm reminded of my UPSC interview where I was asked, why do you want to leave business administration and come into public administration? Actually, if you look at citizens as consumers of services of various kinds, defense services, of various government facilities, welfare schemes, and the like, and consumers of the business world. The consumer in the business world has at least the choice of moving on from one product to its competitors, substitutes, complementary things. Moving on, because it's a free market. The consumer of the government is in a double jeopardy. He has to live with it at least for 5 years, and then you get an opportunity. I think whatever I was taught here, the soft skilling part was very important. I recall when I joined here, I was a very shy young person. We had some classes here, if you remember, and I must thank my friend Deepak, who is present here. He took me to the Lions Club of Cochin East, no? Leo Club. That's the Cubs of the Lions, the Leo Club. He forced being a tail twister on me, which I was compulsorily required to speak, for which I used the forum of SMS, where they give you opportunities to present case studies. We used to have these buddy groups, the group studies, in which you were given cases and then you had to present that bit by bit and slowly. It was not an overnight transformation, but over a period of time, during the 2 years I spent here, I came out a much more confident, self-confident human being. So that was one. There were certain negotiation skills also taught. I think there were role-playing sessions where some of us had to role-play as workers and some others had managers. I remember George Nainan was unique among us because he was the only one who took the rather unfashionable HR. It was unfashionable those days. Rest of us were, competing to be good at production or marketing and finance. He said, no, I want to deal with human beings and I like this. So I remember he would play the role of the HR manager and we would play the roles of labor and being unreasonable, being mildly reasonable and so on. So those negotiation skills helped me deal with crisis situations, in law and order situations. Law and order, for instance. So it's never a waste. The skills that and that's the point that I was telling these youngsters. We may take this as a fun time, Parents are sending money or we get some scholarship and it's okay. But the confidence that you get. Every session is important. You don't have to be very bookish, but the practical wisdom you pick up. And you learn from each other. I must say, I learned from each one of them. I was a much worse individual than, what I am today, in many ways, handicapped by so many things, diffidence, nervousness, this, that, and that. But learning from friends, and this is the best time, when you can commit mistakes, and it's not going to cost an organization, it's not going to cost you a job, but you can't afford to make the same mistakes once you are in the job situation. Okay? This also gives you the discipline. I remember we used to play, those emergency was declared then, I think, while we were in the midst of all this in 75. Otherwise, so we never used to go out because those days police could catch you and cut your hair. We had long hair. I still do. But that's not out of fashion or fad. It's more out of and I'm not following any cult or anything, okay? So it's because the day I was to go in for a haircut, the club rang me up to tell me that the barber is down with COVID and he had lost his father to COVID. And that mortal fear of somebody being next to you had put me off. I'm traumatized. So I have never visited a barber shop, only for that reason. It's nothing, okay? So I still remember Nainan also had very long hair. We couldn't go out those days because police can catch you and... But it was fun. I think the 2 years I spent here, it was really good. It took me, I could feel at home at Harvard. I could feel at home in the IS Academy. I could feel at home in my job. The confidence that, so please make the best of it. If your parents and or whoever are your sponsors are investing in you, it is with the hope that you turn out better human beings. You need not be highly successful. Don't look for, that unless I become a CEO, my life is a failure. No. If you are a good human being, if you have been nice to people, if your subordinates, your people who you have left behind still respect you and consider you that, yeah, he was or she was a good person. I think that's the most rewarding, or the best reward that one can get. So public administration has not been out of place for me. Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone? Yes, please. Yes. Just a second. Yes. Is it still? I don't know. But. I can't give advice to, even my son and daughter never took any advice from me. So I can't give any advice to young people, but based on my experience, and now I can say, because I'm not part of the UPSC system anymore, but after my retirement from 2014, 15 to 21, I used to be on the UPSC interview boards. For a week we used to sit and interview. So several batches we have. I can tell you what I used to look for individually in a young aspirant, who wanted to be in this service. I used to look at, actually this is again some of the classes of Mr. Podwal and others, which you can look through a person. Understanding the human being is a great skill. And I always used to look for whether this man or this young man or young woman is pretending to be what he or she is not, or are they being genuine? Because it's very easy to hoodwink a board in a half an hour interaction. You can be the worst criminal in the world, but pretend to be the holier than thou. You may be saintly, appear to be saintly, isn't it? But you have to be looking at that aspect. Whether, so I used to always pose some challenges, make some make-believe things from personal life also, that you are faced with this situation. How do you react? Okay? And then they would come out there instinctive when they are not coached, because these days when you go in the interview board, you find all are dressed alike. They all have blue blazers and gray trousers and blue ties, and all of them are tailor-made from coaching institutions, because they're all taught the same responses, the way they sit, the way they thank you, they get up and say thank you, they say goodbye when they leave. It's all pretense. During my time, it was not there. I had a huge beard actually at that time. This was more for a different reason. I had a, look, and I didn't have to go on like that. I remember I had a khadi shirt and a brown trouser, and I just went in. And you have to, I don't like being disturbed when I'm talking to someone. And there was somebody who came in to set the clock, let him finish. So otherwise, you know, the coaching would be, don't get disturbed, don't look at them straight, you know, keep looking at them, don't look down, they would think you are shying away, you know. So you have to be yourself. If you are irritable by nature, be that, but be genuine. I think we must remain what we are. We can't pretend to be somebody else, because the sheen comes off, the veil falls away. In the first day on job, the subordinate will know, is this guy corrupt or not? Okay? They will know. So, if you can claim that you have, from day one you were not corrupt, then you will be, because it's not, you don't have to try to be honest, isn't it? It's a matter of habit. Either you are corrupt or not. There's no in between. No, I'm 30% corrupt. Can there be percentage distribution and normal curve or a inverted U? You are either this or not. So there is no halfway house. So my advice to you would be, focus. Papers and all these days you can prepare. That's up to you. During my days, of course, it was a very different kind of exam. It was the old ICS pattern. We had 3 lower papers, 2 higher papers, and of course compulsory general knowledge, general English, and general essay. I took subjects which I had never studied after class 7th actually, but that was only to show that the system can be beaten. Every system can be beaten. You need to know how to attack it, how to tackle it, and work at it. But personality development, make use of this. You don't have to pay coaching centers. If you take every hour spent here in this campus at SMS in a meaningful way, in terms of talking, dealing with colleagues, dealing with staff, you know, we were so friendly with our hostel staff, you remember? And so we used to, I don't know, we used to still maybe having, we used to have this mess committees, every elected mess committees, where we used to outdo each other in lowering the mess bill, and we learned some accounting tricks of, valuation. Those were the lessons to reduce the mess bill. We learned the accounting tricks of how you value the, those days the rice prices used to keep going up. So that's how it was. I think it was fun time. You will enjoy it. How many of you are in the final year? Or first year? You're all first year. Okay. The final year guys must be having their exams. So make use of it. If you have wasted 1 year, don't bother. Make use of the next year. Make use of the next year. Okay? Thank you.
Kindly make use of the opportunity. Thank you. Now, to formally conclude this event, I invite Dr. Smarty P. Mugundan, Associate Professor, School of Management Studies, and Faculty Coordinator of Professor M.V. PYLEE Memorial Endowment Lecture, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Respected Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Junaid Bushri in his absence, Director, School of Management Studies, Dr. Sakriya, our Chief Guest, Dr. Sunil Kumar, Mr. PYLEE Varghese, my dear faculty colleagues, former faculty members, alumni members, students, and members of the non-teaching staff, a very good afternoon. As we come to the close of the PYLEE Endowment Memorial Lecture of this year, I am extremely privileged and honored to propose a vote of thanks. I too have maybe previous year when Jagdiraj sir was a director, we had visited Varghese sir, PYLEE sir's father, and we both had gone there to start with this PYLEE Memorial Endowment lecture. And we are deeply grateful and indebted to Mr. Varghese PYLEE for instituting that, bringing it, reviving it back again, and also to our former director to revive this back. And also I'm also thankful to Dr. Sakariya sir, because we have been able to formulate a guidelines as to how we go forward with this endowment lecture, and this is going to be a reality from now on, is what we hope so, and we truly believe in that also. So as this would be a yearly affair from now onwards, which is a good thing, and I think it would be the most befitting tribute that we could give to a legacy, a person, Mr. Dr. Padma Bhushan, Dr. M.B. PYLEE sir. So moving on, I move on to my duty. So a profound sense of gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Junaid Bushri sir. He is not here. In his absence, we are really thankful to him for his presence and being with us and giving us all the support and encouragement. Next, our deep sense of gratitude to our speaker today, Dr. Sunil Kumar IAS, former Chief Secretary of Chhattisgarh. We are truly indebted to you, sir, for coming today and sharing your experience as an administrator, and more than that, you have given a very wonderful narrative of how management education has evolved, being the first batch of SMS in 1975, where most of us were not born, in fact. I think 95% of us were not even born then. But yes, sir, you have given us a very a nice narrative of how management education has evolved over a period of time, and what brings, or where do we stand right now. While the basics remain the same, what during the 70s we had was stability of knowledge, but what today we see is that the business professionals, the corporates, are more under the scanner of what we call the ethical compass, what we call the media campaigns, and the media's versions and distortions and whatever it is, and how important it is for professionals like us to handle these newer disruptions that is coming over the year. And that is where probably we'll have to develop our skills also, which I think is the biggest takeaway for young professionals like you. Thank you, sir, for that wonderful lecture. And we are also thankful because he has come all the way from Delhi to be with us, and we are really thankful to you, sir. Next, our heartfelt thanks to Sri PYLEE Varghese. He has also come all the way from Dubai, and we are truly thankful to the family members also of Dr. PYLEE, his son Varghese PYLEE and his family members. I think they might be watching this live stream over the YouTube. So a big thanks to the entire family members for their support, encouragement, and their continued engagement with School of Management Studies. Thank you, sir. Our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Sakariya sir. He has always been a great source of support and encouragement for all the activities that we organize here. And also, as I said, he has been instrumental in making this a reality, and probably from the year onwards, this is going to be a yearly affair. So thanks to you, sir. Our heartfelt thanks to our invited guests. Our former directors, most of them are here. I'm not naming all of them. Basi sir is there, Radhuma sir is there, K.C. Shankaranarayan sir is there. Our alumni members, Aswani sir is there, Baiju sir is there. So we have Mary ma'am is there. Please give me, if I have missed out anybody. So a big thanks to all of them who have come here, found out time and been with us. My heartfelt thanks to my faculty colleagues, both from the teaching as well as the non-teaching staff, and of course to my students for being, a wonderful audience and asking some relevant questions also. And I also extend my sincere thanks to the press And anybody whom, if at all I have missed out anybody, thanks to all of you on behalf of School of Management Studies. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all for joining us in this tribute to a visionary whose legacy continues to shape minds and institutions. Thank you.